Hey crafters, it's me, Jen Evers with Quality Crafts, and I've been ill and I almost missed the entire fall. So let's do something fun today. Let's create one of these. Actually, we'll probably create a bunch of them. And here's a couple how they look after they've been inked, before that stage, and then I'll also do some inking with you. So pull out your inks, your sprays, your gelatos, whatever kind of media you have that you want to color your stamps with, and let's get started. I have found that with this stamp, I get a better impression of the center of it if I put the stamp down, ink it up, and then put the paper on top. So that's what I'm going to be doing today, and I'm using Memento Tuxedo Black ink. I'm trying to be kind of careful because I just re-inked this, and boy, I put a lot of ink on it. There we go. So I'm going to do a couple of those. And I am not using sprays today just because they make kind of a mess. I'm just going to pull out some inks. I'm going to use probably some Tim Holtz Distress inks, although you can use any kind of ink at all. It doesn't really matter. Last one. Okay, and I'm pulling out some fallish colors, so you can use some browns, yellow, reds, oranges. I've got some smaller ones, so I'm going to be using these as well. And I just use one single, what's it called, an ink essential thing, and then I just use, not foam, what's this stuff called? Felt. I caught my own pieces of felt. It's a lot cheaper. And before I forget, I'm going to grab a baby wipe, which I keep close by, and I'm going to just wipe off all the ink from my stamp. Clean it off. Okay, so let's pull out one of these first ones, and I'm going to open up Spiced Marmalade, which is a kind of an orange. And I've got those right here. I'm just going to take some ink from there and just start inking it wherever I want that color to be the most. You can make them light, you can make them dark, any way you want. Again, these are the ones that I did previously. So I've even done them in colors that aren't really traditionally fall type looks. Okay? Except for this one, looks a lot more, I guess, what you'd call dead. I sprayed this one with Glimmer Mist, so it's got a real sheen to it. You don't have to do that. But they all turn out really cool and really different. So my little ones right here, these inks, I just store the little felts right next door to them so that I can find them. And these bigger inks I keep right inside the ink. It doesn't seem to hurt it at all. And then I never have to search for the ink pads for those when I want to do this kind of a technique. So I'm adding a little bit of yellow to the orange. This is scattered straw. Yeah. And then I'm going to do a red. I've got two different reds. I do not have all the distress inks by any means. And I'm going to use Fired Brick. It's a little bit deeper of a red than the barn door. And I'm just going to put a little up in this corner. And maybe a little around the edge. And that finishes that one. Okay, so I'm not going to get too detailed. I like the way that looks. And then, of course, I fussy cut them out so that they end up looking like that. So again, you can use gelatos, you can use regular inks, any type of regular inks. The dye inks work really great. And just play around with it. And sprays, of course. I just don't want to get all that messy today. But sprays would be really pretty. If you're going to do that, I would stamp an entire sheet of them instead of doing what I did. I just cut mine smaller because of the way I was stamping. But if you could stamp an entire sheet and then do a spray, that would be really cool. So now let's move on. Let's say we've got some of these done already. Maybe bring it in, get a little bit better of a look here. Okay, let's start off with one. Now I'm going to use a Glimmer Spray. You don't have to use Glimmer. I use a Tattered Angel Glimmer Spray. It looks like this. And all I do when I run out is add a little water and alcohol and a little bit of mica to it. And mica could be in the form of, you know, like eyeshadow. And then I just keep refilling it and using the bottle over and over again. So I'm going to spray this one so that it's pretty saturated. It starts bowing. And then I'm going to spray the other side too because you really do want it wet. And then crumple it up. Okay, let's see, this one I'm going to do with just plain water. This says it's a cleaner, but I just filled it with water and I keep reusing the container. I'm just going to saturate that with the water and a little on the other side, and then just crumple this one. The crumpling is the part that makes it look the most realistic, I think. But if you have a project that you don't want that crumpled look, by all means, use it any which way you want. So if you want more dimension and you want to squinch this up, and by that I mean like just grab it and scrunch it up, use your heat gun at the same time. The heat gun will harden the paper and make it stay that way. Okay, so now this one's going to have a nice shine to it, and this one's not because I didn't spray it with that. But if you change your mind later on, you can always spray it with a glimmer later. No big deal. So that's it. Just a couple of steps. Stamp your image. Sometimes I have to get so close just to get this to focus. Ink it up. Fussy cut it out. Give it a spray and crumple it up. And then you end up with something like this. Now this one is, you can hear, it's hardened up again. Adding water to paper like that and then letting it dry will give it a nice texture. Come on, camera. There we go. We'll give it a nice texture and it will help it, you know, it'll stay hard. It won't be real flexible. And you can put it on any of your projects. Look at that sheen. I really hope that you enjoyed this technique. I know it's an oldie but a goodie, but it's super fun. And I'll see you guys next video.